All right. Sorry about that audio glitch. We are now starting with the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, Book 5, Chapter 21. Vyasa said, O Raja, I will now describe to you the excellent pure life and doings of the Devi that destroy all the sins of all beings and make them happy. In days of yore, there were two very powerful demons, Shumbha and Nishumbha. They were two brothers, strong heroes and invulnerable to male persons. Those two wicked asuras were surrounded with innumerable danavas, and they always tormented for the good of the devas, killed Shumbha and Nishumbha with all their attendants in a dreadful battle. On the battlefield, the Devi killed their main assistants, Chanda, Munda, and Dhumralodana. When the Devi destroyed those Danavas, the Devas became fearless. The Devas then went to the beautiful Sumeru mountain and praised her and chanted hymns to her. Hearing about the names of Shumbha and Nishumbha, Janamejaya asked, O best of Munis, who were those two asuras? How came they to be the most powerful? Who put them there? Why were they vulnerable to women only? Under whose tapasya and under whose boon did they become so strong? And why did that great Devi kill them? Describe all of this to me in detail. Vyasa said, O Raja, I will describe to you that beautiful anecdote where the Devi's holy deeds are involved. Here, this incident, full of all that is good, destroys all the heroes' sins and grants them all their desired ends. In days of yore, Shumbha and Nishumbha, the two fair and good-looking brothers, came out of Patala up to this earth. These two asuras, when they grew to their manhood, performed severe asceticism in Pushkara, the holy place of pilgrimage, the most purifying place in this world. They refused to eat even rice or drink water. They became so very skilled in their yoga practices that they passed away in their one posture and seat, Ajuta years, or 10,000 years. Thus they performed very difficult tapasya. Then the god Brahma, the grandsire of all, became pleased with their asceticism and appeared before them, riding on his vehicle, the swan. The Creator, seeing them thus deeply merged in meditation, asked them to get up from that state and told them, I have become pleased with your asceticism. I fulfill the desires of all of beings in all the lokas. I have now come to you, pleased to see you so very strong in your ascetic practices. You had better ask your desired boons from me, I will grant them to you. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing thus the grandsire's words, Shumbha and Nishumbha got up from their meditation. Concentrating their attention towards him, they circumambulated him and bowed down to him with their hearts full of reverence. The two asuras were very weak, lean and thin by their hard tapasya, and they looked very humble. They fell down before him like a piece of wood, and began to speak in a sweet voice, choked by intense feelings. O Brahman, O Deva of the Devas, O thou ocean of mercy, O destroyer of fear of the devotees, O Lord, if thou art pleased, then dost thou grant us immortality. There is nothing in this world more fearful than death. We too have taken refuge unto thee, being afraid of death. O thou ocean of mercy, O creator of the world, O Lord of the Devas, O universal soul, protect us from this fear of the terrible death. Brahma said, Is this the boon that you ask? This is in every way against the law of nature, for no one in these three lokas can grant this boon to anybody. When one becomes born, one must die. And when one dies, one must be born again. This law is ordained in this world by the supreme creator of this universe from time immemorial. Therefore, all beings must die. There is no doubt in it. Ask any other boon that you desire, and I will grant that to you. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing thus the words of Brahma, the two Danavas pondered over the matter and bowed down to the Prajapati, the Lord of the creation, and said, O merciful one, grant us then that we shall be invulnerable to any male of the immortal devas, down to human beings and birds and deer. This is the boon that we ask. For where exists the woman so powerful as to kill us? We shall never fear any woman in all the three lokas. O Lotus-born, we two brothers want not to be killed by any male being. Females are naturally weaker, and therefore we need not fear them. Vyasa said, O Raja, so exactly the same boon as was asked by Mahishasura. Hearing these words, the grandsire Brahma gladly granted them their desired boon and returned to his own abode. On Brahma's going away, the two Danavas returned to their own places. They then appointed the Muni Bhrigu as their priest, and began to worship him as befits, to pay him the honors of a guru. Bhrigu, the best of the Munis, then on an auspicious day, and when the nakshatra was benign, got a beautiful golden throne built and gave it to the king Shumbha. Shumbha, being the eldest of the two brothers, was then installed on the auspicious throne as the Raja. The other brave and excellent asuras began to assemble there quickly to serve him. The two great warriors, Chanda and Munda, proud on account of their great strength, came there with their large armies, chariots, horses, and elephants, and swore fealty to Shumbha. Similarly, the valiant warrior Dhumralochana, hearing that Shumbha had become Raja of the Asuras, came there with his own army. There came up also at that time the great warrior Raktabija, more powerful on account of his getting a boon, attended by his army of 2 Akshauhinis of soldiers. O Raja, hear why this Asura, Raktabija, was so very unconquerable. Whenever this Asura was wounded by any weapon, if one drop of blood fell on the ground, at once there would be created innumerably many Asuras resembling his wicked nature and with similar weapons in their hands. The Asuras born of this blood would have similar appearances to him and would be similar in strength and ready to fight at once when they were born. That great warrior, the Mahasura Raktabija, was unconquerable in battle for this very reason, and no being could now kill him. The other Asuras, when they heard that Shumba had become their Raja, came up there with their armies consisting of 4 divisions of elephants, chariots, cavalry, and infantry, and began to serve him. The army of Shumbha and Nishumbha thus became countless, and they forcibly conquered and got possession of all the kingdoms that then existed on the surface of the earth. Then Shumbha, the destroyer of enemies, collected his army and marched up to the heavens without any delay to conquer Indra, the husband of Shachi. He fought very hard with all the Lokapalas on all sides, when Indra struck him on his breast with his thunderbolt. Nishumbha fell unconscious on the ground from that blow, and his soldiers, defeated in the battle by the Devas, fled away on all sides. Shumbha, destroyer of the enemy's forces, hearing the unconscious state of his younger brother, came up at once on the field and shot at the Devas with multitudes of arrows. The untiring Shumbha fought so violently that Indra and the other Devas in Lokapalas were defeated. Shumbha then took away perforce the position of Indra, and he occupied the celestial tree and the heavenly milk cow that yielded all desires, and the other excellent things over which Indra used to reign. In fact, that high-souled Asura got the dominion of the 3 lokas and took away all those that were offered at the yajnas. In other words, he claimed all yajna offerings for himself. He became highly glad on getting the Nandana garden, and was exceedingly delighted when he drank the celestial Amratam. He then defeated in battle Kubera, the god of wealth, and occupied his kingdom. He defeated Chandra, Surya, and Yama, the god of death, and occupied their positions. Surrounded by his army, Nishumbha dispossessed Varuna, Agni, and Vayu of their kingdoms, and began to reign in their stead. Thus deprived of their kingdom's prosperity and wealth, the Devas left the Nandana garden and fled out of terror to the caves in hills and mountains. Thus deprived of all their rights, the Devas, without any weapons, without any luster, without any home, and without anywhere to go, began to wander in lonely forests. O Raja, all the immortals began to wander about in lonely gardens, mountain caves, and rivers, and nowhere did they find happiness, for happiness depends entirely under the hands of fate. O Lord of men, even those fortunate souls who are powerful, wealthy, and wise meet at times with distress and poverty. O Raja, how marvelous are the ways and manners of time! It makes kings and donors beggars. It renders the powerful weak, literates illiterates, and it makes great warriors into terrible cowards. O Raja, Vasava performed 100 Ashvamedha yajnas and got the excellent position of Indra, but again he fell into extreme difficulties, thus runs the wheel of time. It is time that bestows the gem of knowledge to a person, and it is time again that deprives that very same man of his wisdom, and makes him a great sinner. The Bhagavan Vishnu takes incarnations under the influence of time, in several wombs as the boar, etc., and Mahadeva carries on his body human skulls, not even fit to be touched by ordinary people. When Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, and others seem to suffer such painful things, then one need not wonder at the workings of the great and inscrutable time. And here ends the 21st chapter of the 5th book on the conquest of Svarga by Shumbha and Nishumbha in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 22. Vyasa said, O Raja, when the Devas were all defeated, Shumbha began to govern all their kingdoms. Thus 1,000 years passed away. The Devas, during this time, deprived of their kingdoms, were all drowned in an ocean of cares and anxieties. At last they began to feel very greatly afflicted. They asked with reverence to their own Guru Brahaspati, O Guru, what are we to do now? O all-knowing one, you are the great Muni. Kindly say unto us if there be any means of which we can get rid of this, our present crisis. There are thousands of Vedic mantras which yield the desired results, if they are practiced with due rites and ceremonies, and if all the rules be observed thereof. O best of Munis, many yajnas are mentioned in the Vedas that yield all desired results. You know them all, so kindly perform those yajnas. Do all those ceremonies duly that are ordained in the Vedas for the killing of enemies. O descendant of Angirasa, you ought to perform as early as possible those yajnas for magical purposes, to destroy the Danavas, so that all of our miseries come to an end. Brahaspati said, O Lord of the Suras, all the mantras mentioned in the Vedas yield the desired results, but subservient to the great destiny only. They do not give results of themselves, but do so in obedience to the laws ordained by nature. You all are the presiding deities of the Vedic mantras, but now, by the strange irony of time, you are put to difficulties and troubles. What can I do now in this case? See, Indra, Agni, Varuna, and other devas are invoked in yajnas. How then can such sacrificial ceremonies do good when you are put to such great difficulties? Therefore there is no remedy to those which will take place unavoidably, but those who are wise declare that in such cases means are to be adopted. Some sages say that fate is strong, but those who advocate the cause of taking remedial means say that fate can be made powerless. Remedies or manly exertions lead to all success. But, O Raja of the Devas, embodied souls ought to resort to both fate and remedies. It is never advisable to depend solely on fate and make no efforts. Therefore, it is advisable to think out again and again, as far as one's own intellect goes, the best remedies. O Devas, I have thought over again and again on this subject, and say to you my opinion. Here, in days of yore, the Bhagavati, being appeased, killed Mahishasura. And when you all praised and chanted hymns to her, she gave you this boon, that she will remove all your sorrows and troubles no sooner than you remember her. And she told you that you all must remember her whenever any difficulty would arise to you out of this great destiny. She would then free you all from your ocean of great difficulties. Therefore do you all now go to the highly sacred and exquisitely beautiful Himalayan mountains, and worship the most worshipful Chandika Devi with your love and devotion. Know all the rules of the Bija mantra of Maya, and be engaged in taking her name accompanied with burnt offerings. I have come to know by yogic power that she will be pleased with you. I see that today your difficulties will come to an end. There is not the least doubt in this. I have heard that the Devi resides always in the Himachala. If you worship and praise and chant hymns to her, she will certainly grant you your desired boons. Therefore, fully decide on this thing, and go to the Himalayas. O Devas, she will fulfill all your desires and carry out all your intentions. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing thus his words, the Devas departed to the Himalayas, and they all became merged in the devotional worship of the Supreme Goddess, and began to meditate constantly in their hearts on the Bija mantra of Maya, which is Hrim, the Hrim Bija. They bowed down to the goddess Mahamaya, the discarder of all the fears of her bhaktas, and began to chant hymns to her with perfect devotion. And the hymn they chanted was, in translation, O goddess, salutation to thee, O thou, the Lord of the universe, the Lord of our hearts. Thou art the everlasting bliss and the giver of bliss to the Devas. Salutation to thee. Thou art the destroyer of the Danavas, and thou art the giver of all desires of human beings as well. Thou can be approached with devotion. Salutation to thee. O thou, the incarnate of all the Devas. Thy names are endless, thy forms are endless, none can count them. Thou residest always as the force incarnate in all the actions, in the creation, preservation, and dissolution of beings. O goddess, thou art the memory, constancy, intelligence, and old age. Thou art the nourishment, contentment, thou upholdest all. Thou art the beauty, peace, good knowledge, prosperity, and happiness. Thou art the goal, fame, and intellect, and thou art the eternal seed unmanifested. We now bow down to those forms of thine, through which thou dost serve the purpose of the Devas in this world, as we are now in need of peace. Thou art forgiveness and mercy. Thou art the yoga nidra state, between sleep and waking. Thou art kindness, and thou residest in all beings in so many forms, great and grand, and so very celebrated. O goddess, thou hadst already served the cause of the Devas in killing our great enemy Mahishasura, puffed up with vanity. Therefore thy mercy is well known amongst the gods. What more, thy mercy is known since very ancient times, and it is narrated in the Vedas. What wonder is there that a mother nourishes gladly her own children and preserves them carefully? For thou art the mother of the Devas. Thou art the great source of help to them, or to us. Therefore dost thou fulfill all our desires with thine whole heart. O Devi, we do not know the limit of thy qualities nor of thy forms. O goddess, thou art worshipped by the whole universe. Thou art fully competent to save all from dangers. We are objects of thy pity. Dost thou save us from our present troubles? Thou art capable to kill enemies without shooting any arrows, without striking any blows, without hurling any trident, axes, shaktis, clubs, or any other weapons. Shaktis in this context is referring to the type of javelin or throwing spear. Merely by thy mere will thou canst kill. Still, for sports and for the good of all beings, thou incarnates and fights for the sake of Leela. The ignorant know such things as birth, death, etc. That this world is not eternal, that no actions can be without any cause. In other words, even the ignorant know these things. We therefore ascertain by reasoning and inference that thou art the supreme cause of this whole universe. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Mahesha is the destroyer, so it is related in the Puranas. Thou again hast given birth to these three gods in their respective cycles. Therefore thou art the mother of all. There is no doubt in this. O Devi, in days of yore, these three Devas worshipped thee. Thou art pleased and gave them all their best powers, or their Shaktis, their internal energy. Being thus endowed with thy Shakti, they have been able to create, preserve, and destroy this universe beautifully. Art they not foolish, though they be yatis, or of self-controlled nature, they who do not worship the universal mother, consciousness incarnate, the giver of liberation, whose feet are worshipped by the Devas, and worshipping whom one gets the fruits of all one's desires? Those Vaishnavas, Sauras, or Pashupatas are foolish braggarts if they do not meditate on thee as the embodiment of Kamala, modesty, beauty, continuancy, fame, and nourishment. These particularly being attributes of Mahalakshmi that were just enumerated. Kamala Devi. O Mother, the Asuras, Harihara, and other great Devas worship thee in this world. Therefore, those mortals are certainly deceived by their creator that do not worship the lotus feet of Lakshmi by coloring them red with lak juice. Hara is very anxious to serve the lotus feet and take the dust of the feet of Parvati. Lakshmi and Parvati are but thy manifestations. Therefore, to serve them is to serve thee. What to speak of other persons, even those who can discriminate between real and unreal, and those who have left their worldly homes and have become dispassionate towards worldly objects, even those munis worship forgiveness and mercy that are but thy aspects. Therefore, who is there in this world that does not serve thy lotus feet, in one way or another? O Devi, those human beings plunge into the dreadful wells of this samsara, the whirl of birth and death, and are deprived of all pleasures who do not serve thy lotus feet. What more can be said than the fact that those fallen beings suffer terribly from poverty, humility, leprosy, headache, and the chronic enlargement of the spleen? O mother, those persons are void of any wealth and wife. They are the carriers of loads of wood and collect grass and leaves, and show their skill in such acts. They are of little understanding, and never did they serve in their previous births thy lotus feet. This we have come to know very well within our heart of hearts. Vyasa said, O Raja, when all the Devas thus eulogized, instantly the Devi Ambika, full of youth and beauty, appeared there out of mercy. That extraordinarily beautiful Bhagavati, endowed with all auspicious signs and adorned with divine clothings, ornaments, and garlands and sandal paste, appeared before the Devas, before whom even the world enchanter Kamadeva bows down. With such beautiful divine appearance, the Devi emerged from the mountain cave in order to take her ablutions in the Ganga. That Devi, sweet voiced like a cuckoo, gladly smiling, began to say to the Devas, singing hymns to her, in a voice sweet like a cuckoo, yet deep like a rumbling cloud. Yes, what do you want? Why are you so anxious and seem to be so careworn? Do please tell all of this to me in detail. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Devas were at first enchanted by her beauty and softness. Then, being encouraged by her sweet words, they began to speak with great joy. O Devi, we pray to thee, O Lord of this universe. We bow down to thee. O thou, the ocean of mercy, protect us from all the troubles. We are very much careworn and tormented by the Daityas. O great goddess, in ancient times thou didst kill Mahishasura, the source of troubles to all, and then told us to remember thee whenever any difficulty would arise. And thou wouldst undoubtedly remove all the troubles arising from the Daityas no sooner than we remember thee. O Devi, we have now remembered thee for that very reason. At present, two dreadful asuras, Shumbha and Nishumbha, have sprung up and are creating great disturbances, and they cannot be killed by any male beings. Exactly like Mahishasura of old. The powerful Rakta Bija and Chanda and Munda and other asuras have dispossessed the devas of our heavens. Thou alone art our goal and refuge. Without thee there is none other to save us. Therefore, O beautiful one, dost thou do this work for the devas, who are extremely troubled and distressed. O powerful Devi, the devas are always at the services of thy lotus feet. Still, the very powerful Danavas are throwing us into dangers. O mother, thou art the preserver of the distressed. Therefore dost thou preserve the devas devoted to thee. O mother, the Danavas, being very much emboldened by their power, are creating great havoc on the surface of the earth. Now remembering that in the beginning of the yugas thou didst create all this universe, thou dost now ought to protect all this universe. And here ends the 21st chapter of the 5th book on the eulogizing of the Devi by the Devas in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 23. Vyasa said, O Raja, when the tormented Devas praised thus, the Devi created from her body another supremely beautiful form. This created form, the Ambika Devi, became known in all the worlds as Kaushiki, as she came out of the physical sheath of the Devi Parvati. When Kaushiki was created out of the body of Parvati, Parvati's body became transformed and turned into a black color and became known as Kalika. So the wording in the translation there is a little unclear. This refers to Kaushiki, not to the remaining body from which Kaushiki was emitted, but to the Kaushiki emanation. Took the form of Kalika Devi. Her terrible black appearance when beheld increases the terror even of the Daityas. O Raja, this Devi is now become known in this world as Kalaratri, the black night of destruction at the end of the world, identified with Durga, the fulfiller of all the desires, in that Kalaratri is the seventh? Yes, the seventh of the 9 Navadurga forms. The Ambika Devi then began to look splendid, decked with various ornaments. Her beautiful form looked very lovely. The Devi Ambika then smiled a little and said, "Be fearless. I will slay all your enemies now. It is my incumbent duty to carry out your purposes. I will therefore slay in battle Nishumbha and the others for the sake of your happiness." Thus saying, the Devi Bhagavati, elated with pride, mounted on her lion, and taking Kalika with her, entered into the city of Shumbha, the enemy of the Devas. Ambika went to a garden adjoining the city, accompanied by Kalika, and began to sing in such a sweet melodious tune that enchants even the god of love who fascinates the whole world. What more can be said than the fact that hearing that sweet melodious song, the birds and beasts became enchanted. The Devas then began to feel much pleasure from their vantage in the sky. In the meanwhile, Chanda and Munda, the two dreadful asuras and attendants of Shumbha, came out accidentally there on their sportive excursions. Accidentally meaning by chance at that time they happened to visit the garden of the city, and saw the beautiful Ambika Devi singing, and Kalika Devi sitting before her. O best of Rajas, no sooner did Chanda and Munda see the extraordinary beauty of the goddess Bhagavati than they went at once to Shumbha. On approaching the lord of the Daityas sitting in his room, they bowed down and told thus in a sweet voice, "O Raja, here has come from the Himalayas a woman accidentally, mounted on a lion. Her limbs are shining with all good signs, so much that even the Kamadeva would be enchanted by her sight. Nowhere in the Deva Lokas, the Gandharva Lokas, or on this earth can be found such a beautiful lady. I never saw nor heard about such a lady before. O Raja, that lady is singing so beautifully and pleasingly to all that even the deer are standing motionless by her side, enchanted as it were by her melodious voice. O Raja, that lady is fit for you. Therefore determine first, whose daughter is this lady? What for has she come here? And then marry her. Know this as certain, that such a beautiful lady is not to be found anywhere in this world. Therefore bring her to your house and marry her. O Lord of men, you have acquired all the gems and jewels of the Devas. Why not then accept this gem in the form of a lady? O Raja, you have taken by force the exquisitely beautiful Airavata elephant of Indra, the Parijata tree, the 7-faced horse Uchchaishrava, and many other jewels. You have acquired by your might the prince of jewels, the celestial car of the creator Brahma, ensigned by the emblematic swan. You have dispossessed Kubera of his treasure of the value of a Padma, and Varuna, the god of the oceans, of his white umbrella. O Raja, when Varuna was defeated, your brother Nishumbha took perforce his Pasha weapon. O Raja, the great ocean, Mahasamudra, gave you out of terror various jewels and honored you by presenting a garland of lotuses which never fades. What more can be said than the fact that you have conquered death and took away his force, and that you have easily conquered Yama, the god of death, and took from him his horrible staff? O Raja, you have brought that heavenly cow which came out when the ocean was churned. That cow is still with you. What more to say than that Menaka and other Apsaras are under your control? Thus you have got by your strength all the jewels of this world. Why then should you not take this exquisitely beautiful lady, the princess of jewels amongst women? O Raja, all the jewels in your house will serve their real purpose, no doubt, then and then only, when they will shine with this queen of jewels, this lady. O Lord of the Daityas, there cannot be seen in all the Trilokas such a beautiful lady as this that we have now described before you. Therefore bring this beautiful lady quickly and accept her as your wife. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing thus the sweet words of Chanda and Munda, Shumba spoke gladly to Sugriva, an asura named Sugriva, who was close by. Go, Sugriva, do my messenger's work. You are well skilled in these things. Speak so that the beautiful lady of thin waist may come over to me. Those who are well versed in the science of amorous love and the Kama Shastra declare that only 2 methods are to be adopted by clever persons towards the female sex. The first is conciliation and gentle words, and the second is gifts and presents. For if the policy of division or sowing dissensions be applied, then hypocrisy is shown, and that means the improper manifestation of kama rasa, or the love sentiment. Whereas if chastisement be applied, then the love sentiment becomes interrupted. Therefore the wise have condemned these as corrupt means. O messenger, where is that woman who does not come round excited with passion when good and sweet words are spoken to her in accordance with the sama and dana methods? Vyasa said. Sugriva, hearing the nicely skilled words of Shumbha, went hurriedly to the spot where existed the mother of the universe. He saw the fair lady mounted on a lion, saluted her, and spoke gently and sweetly as follows. O beautiful one, Shumbha, the enemy of the Devas and the Raja of all, is beautiful in all respects, the ruler of the three lokas, a great hero and conqueror of all. Hearing of your beauty and loveliness, that high-souled monarch is so much attached to you and has become so very passionate that he has sent me to you to express his views. O one of delicate limbs, please hear what that lord of the Daityas has spoken to thee, after duly saluting thee. Words full of love and affection towards thee. O beloved, I have defeated all the Devas and have thus become the lord of the three worlds. Specially I partake of all the offerings made in sacrificial acts and ceremonies, without moving away from my house. I have taken away all the gems, jewels, and wealth that belonged to the Devas. Consequently, the abode of the Devas has become now worthless on account of all its jewels being carried away. O fair one, I am now enjoying all the jewels that exist in the three lokas, so much so that all the Devas, Asuras, and human beings are passing away their times subservient to me. But no sooner thy qualifications reached my ears than thou hast penetrated into my heart and hast made me completely subservient to thee. O fair one, what am I to do now? Whatever thou commandest, I am ready to do it. Verily, I am now thy servant, so thou oughtst to save me from the darts of passion. O one with swan-like eyes, I am verily made your captive. Especially I am extremely agitated by the arrows of Kama. Therefore dost thou serve me when thou wilt be made the lord of the three worlds and thus enjoy all incomparably excellent things. O beloved, I will remain ever thy obedient servant up to the last moment of my death. O excellent one, I cannot ever be killed by the Devas, Asuras, or human beings. That is, of course, a lie. He can only not be killed by males among them. O fair-faced one, thou wilt be always prosperous and fortunate. Thou wilt be able to sport anywhere thou likest. O Devi, please ponder over the above words of the Lord of the Daityas in thy heart, and speak out thy views gladly and with the same sweetness in reply. O brisk one, I will go immediately to Shumbha and inform him about thy mind. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Devi, ready to serve the cause of the gods, heard the messenger's gentle words and replied, smiling and sweetly. Sri Devi spoke. I know full well Shumbha and Nishumha. The Raja Shumbha is very powerful, the conqueror of all the Devas and the destroyer of his enemies. He is the repository of all good qualities, the enjoyer of all pleasures, very valorous, charitable, and he is beautiful, in fact a second Kama. He is adorned with 32 auspicious signs. Particularly, he is a hero in battle, and cannot be killed by the Devas or human beings. O messenger, knowing this, I have come here to have a look at that great warrior Shumbha. The jewel comes in contact with gold to increase its luster, so I have come here from afar to see my husband. On seeing all the Devas, Gandharvas, Rakshasas, and the eminently beautiful persons on the earth, I have come to know that they are all terror-stricken and almost unconscious and shudder at the name of Shumbha. So, on hearing about his abilities, I have now come here to see him. O messenger, O fortunate one, better now go back to the great hero Shumbha and speak to him in private the following sweet words of mine. You are the foremost among the powerful, beautiful of the beautiful, skilled in all the branches of learning, well qualified, charitable, clever, born of a high noble family, energetic, conqueror of the Devas. Especially by the sheer force of your arms you are so much exalted, and you now enjoy all gems and jewels. Therefore, O Raja, knowing your qualifications, I have come truly of my own accord to your city, with the desire of getting for myself a husband. O high-souled one, I am fit for your consort. O Lord of the Daityas, there is a slight hitch in my marriage. It is this. In my early days, while I was playing with my comrades, I promised before them privately, partly out of childishness and partly out of vanity for bodily strength, that I will certainly marry that hero who is as powerful as me and who will defeat me in battle, thus testing his powers and weaknesses. My comrades laughed at my words and spoke with wonder. Why has this girl made such an extraordinarily difficult promise? Therefore, O monarch, you had better marry me and fulfill my desires, after knowing my strength and defeating me in a fight. O beautiful one in all respects, you had better come yourself, or send your younger brother Nishumbha, and perform the marriage ceremony after defeating me on the battlefield. Here ends the 23rd chapter in the 5th book on the prowess of Kaushiki in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 24. Vyasa said, O Raja, the messenger was thunderstruck with the Devi's words and said, O beautiful lady, what art thou speaking? It seems that thou dost not think. Thou art boasting in vain. How canst thou expect to conquer the Danavas? O lotus-eyed one, there is no hero in the 3 worlds that can conquer Shumbha in battle. Thou seemest to be a mere trifle before that Raja of Asuras in a face-to-face fight. O fair one, nowhere ought to be said any words without being thought over. One must weigh one's own and the other's might, and then speak accordingly. The Raja Shumbha, lord of the 3 worlds, enchanted by thy fascinating beauty, is desirous of thee. Therefore dost thou fulfill his desires and become his beloved wife. Thou better now abandon thy illiterate nature and worship Shumbha or Nishumbha. I am speaking for thy good, so keep my words. The amorous love sentiment is the best of the 9 prevailing sentiments. Therefore every intelligent being ought to cherish with gladness this amorous feeling. And if thou, O weak girl, does not go to Shumbha, then that lord of the earth will become very angry and will order his servants to take thee perforce before him. O fair one, these proud asuras will carry thee by will carry thee by thy hair before Shumbha. Have no doubt in this. O thin-bodied one, better forego thy boldness in every way and keep thy self-respect. Thou art the object of respect and admiration, and so should go before him. What difference is there between the fight, which makes one's body liable to cuts and wounds by sharp arrows, and the pleasures that arise out of sexual intercourse? These are like 2 opposite poles. Therefore judge what is useless and what is useful, and keep my good advice. Thou shalt be exceedingly happy if thou servest Shumbha or Nishumbha. The Devi spoke, O messenger, you are fortunate. You are well trained to speak out the truth. I know full well that Shumbha and Nishumbha are strong. Still, out of my childish nature, the promise that I made before I cannot undo. Therefore speak to the powerful Shumbha or Nishumbha that none can be my husband simply from his beauty. Without defeating me in battle, no one can marry me. So come and conquer me and marry me as you like. Though of the weaker sex, I have come here to fight. Know this is certain. Therefore, if you be capable, fight and do the duty of a warrior. And if you be terrified by seeing my trident, or if you want your life, quit the Swargas and the earth and go down to Patala without any delay. O messenger, go now to your master and tell him sweetly these words. Then that powerful lord of the Danavas will judge what ought to be done. O knower of dharma, to speak out truth before an enemy, before one's own master, is certainly the duty of a messenger in this world. Therefore go quickly and tell him what is verily true. Vyasa said, O Raja, the messenger was quite surprised to hear the bold words, though full of reason and morals, of the Devi, puffed up by the vanity of her strength, and he departed. Coming back to the lord of the Daityas, the messenger bowed down before his feet and told him sweet words, in a very humble way, after pondering over and over again what he would say. The messenger said, O Raja, words true and at the same time sweet ought to be spoken before one's master, but these are very rare in this world. On the other hand, if unpleasant words be spoken, the Raja gets very angry. So I'm very anxious now, O Raja. Whether that lady is weak or strong, whence she has come, whose wife is she, I have not been able to ascertain all these. How then can I say about her conduct? But on seeing that harsh-speaking woman, I have come to understand this much. She is exceedingly haughty, and she has come to fight. O Raja, You are very intelligent, therefore judge what ought to be done after hearing only what that lady has told me to say to you. That lady said, in days of childhood, while I was playing, out of my childish nature I promised before my comrades that I would marry that valiant warrior who would defeat me thoroughly in a battle, and thus curb my pride. O best of Rajas, you are dharmic, so you ought to make my word turn out false. Bring me under your control by defeating me in a battle. O Raja, hearing these words I have returned. Now do whatever you like. That lady is determined to fight, and is waiting there firmly mounted on a lion and with various weapons in her hands. Now judge and do what is best. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing thus the words of Sugriva, the Raja Shumbha asked his hero brother Nishumbha, who was close by, O brother, you are intelligent. Speak out truly what ought to be done now. The lovely woman is challenging us to a fight. Shall I go to fight, or would you go with force? I will do whatever you say. Nishumbha said, O Raja, it is not proper that you or I would go to the battlefield. Better send Dhumralochana to the field quickly. Let that hero go there, and defeat that beautiful lady and bring her here. You can then marry her. Vyasa said. Hearing thus his younger brother's words, Shumbha, filled with anger toward the woman, instantly sent Dhumralochana, who was close by, out to battle. Shumbha said, O Dhumralochana, take a vast army, and go at once to the battlefield, and bring that stupid lady vainly boasting of her strength. If any Deva, Danava, or any powerful human being take her side, kill him instantly. Slay her companion, the goddess Kali, and bring her. Do all these responsible duties and return quickly. That chaste lady is to be protected by all means. The body of that thin lady must be very delicate. So shoot arrows at her very carefully and see that they are not sharp. But kill any that will help her with weapons in their hands. Try your best to protect her and not to harm her. Vyasa said, O Raja, no sooner ordered thus by the Raja, Dhumralochana bowed down to the king and, accompanied by 60,000 Danavas, quickly went to the battlefield and saw there that the lady was sitting in a beautiful garden. Seeing that dear-eyed lady, Dhumralochana began to address her with great humility and in sweet words full of reason and goodness. O Devi, O highly fortunate one, hear. Shumbha is very much distressed owing to thy absence. Lest there be any break in the love sentiments, that Raja, a wise statesman, sent a messenger with instructions to speak to thee in sweet and suitable terms, but, O fair one, that messenger, on arriving before the Raja, has told all contrary words. O knower of love sentiments, hearing thus the messenger's words, my lord Shumbha, sick with love, has become immersed in cares and anxieties. That messenger had not been able to realize the true meaning of thy words. O honorable lady, the sentence uttered by thee, he who will conquer me in battle, is full of a deeper meaning. He was stupid, hence he could not realize the meaning of the word battle, intended by thee. O beautiful one, battle means two different things according to the persons for whom it is intended. It is of two kinds. One out of excitement, but another the battle of sexual intercourse. From thee, surely the sexual intercourse was intended. With any other enemy, the battle in a real fight would be meant. Out of these, the battle of sexual intercourse is full of sweetness, and battle with enemies is painful. O beautiful one, I understand thy intentions fully, and thy heart reigns that battle of sexual intercourse. Knowing me as an expert in these affairs, the Raja Shumbha has sent me today to thee with a vast army. O highly fortunate lady, thou art clever and shrewd. Hear my gentle words. Serve Shumbha, lord of the three worlds, the destroyer of the Deva's pride. Thou wilt be the dearest queen consort and enjoy the best pleasures. The powerful Shumbha knows the real meaning of the battle of sexual intercourse, so he will easily conquer thee therein. When thou wilt show various amorous gestures, he will also show his feelings. And the Kalika Devi, your companion, will remain with thee as a helping mate in your vital pleasures. The lord of the Daityas, expert in the science of love, will certainly conquer thee engaged in amorous battle, and will lay thee stretched on a soft bed, and will make thee exhausted. He will make thy body covered with blood by striking with nails, and he will bite thy lips to pieces. Then thou wilt perspire profusely, and will cease fighting. Thus thy mental desire for a battle of sexual intercourse will be satisfied. O beloved, at thy mere sight Shumbha will be completely subject to thee. Therefore dost thou keep my sweet and beneficial words. Thou art an honorable lady, and thou wilt be highly honored by all if thou marriest Shumbha. Those are certainly very unfortunate who like fighting with weapons. O beloved, Sexual intercourse is always favorable to thee, therefore it is not worthy of thee to fight with weapons. Therefore dost thou make the king free of sorrows by pouring on him the nectar of thy mouth, and by making his heart bud forth by thy kicking, as Bakula and Kurubaka trees blossom forth when drenched with mouth nectar, and the Ashoka tree gets blossomed by the kicking of women. And here ends the 24th chapter of the 5th book on the description of Dhumralochana giving the message in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 25. Vyasa said, O Janamejaya, when Dhumralochana ceased speaking, the Devi Kalika made a wild laughter and began to speak thus. O stupid one, skilled in flattery, you know only how to use jugglery of words like an actor. Do you think that your ends will be served if you speak only sweet words? This can never be. O stupid one, fight now, there is no need of useless words. You are strong and have been sent by that wicked demon with a great army. This Devi out of wrath will kill you, Shumbha and Nishumbha and other commanders by her arrows, and will then return to her abode. Where is that stupid Shumbha? And where is this Devi, the great enchantress of the universe? Their marriage in this world is entirely out of the question and can never take place. O stupid one, what do you think, that a lioness, becoming very passionate, would make a jackal her husband? Or would a she-elephant prefer an ass? Or would a heavenly cow like a bison? Go to Shumbha and Nishumbha and tell them truly, fight or instantly flee to Patala. Vyasa said, O fortunate one, the demon Dhumralochana, hearing thus the words of Kalika, became very angry and spoke with reddened eyes. O ugly one, I will slay thee and this lion, infatuated with pride in battle, and take this fair one to the king. O Kali, I have not been able to do this simply because it would break our amorous love sentiments. O quarrelsome one, otherwise I would have undoubtedly slain thee just now, with my sharpened arrows tipped with irons. Hearing thus, Kalika said, Fool, why do you boast vainly? This is not the religion of a hero, with bows and arrows in their hands. Shoot your arrows with all your might. I will send you to the realm of death. Vyasa said, O Raja, hearing the Devi's words, Dhumralochana caught hold of his strong bow and began to shoot arrow after arrow at Kalika. Indra and the other devas came out to see the fight on their best cars in the celestial space above and shouted victory to the Devi, and thus eulogized her. Thus a deadly fight ensued between them, with arrows, axes, clubs, shaktis, and mushalas, and various other weapons. Kalika cut off at the very outset all the asses that carried the chariot by her arrows, and next broke the chariot and began to laugh repeatedly, since Dhumralochana rode a chariot drawn by asses. O Bharata, then Dhumralochana, becoming angry, mounted on another chariot and began to shoot deadly arrows at Kalika. Kalika Devi too cut off those arrows into pieces before they reached her, and shot arrow after arrow on the Danava in quick succession. Thousands of his soldiers near him were killed. The asses and the charioteer were killed, and the chariot was broken. She cut down all his arrows by her swift serpent-like arrows and blew her conch shell. The Deva, seeing this, became very glad. Dhumralochana, displaced from his chariot, took up with anger his very strong parigha weapon, and came near to the chariot of the Devi. Then the Danava, terrific like death, began to abuse the Devi and said, O ugly tawny-eyed Kali, I will kill thee now. Thus saying, he suddenly went near to her, and when he was about to throw his parigha weapon upon her, the Ambika Devi burnt him to ashes simply by her loud shout. Seeing Dhumralochana burnt to ashes, his soldiers became panic-stricken and fled immediately, crying aloud, O father, O father! The Deva saw this, and quickly showered from on high heaps of flowers on the Devi. O Raja, the battleground assumed a dreadful appearance. At some places lay slain Danavas, at others horses, at other places elephants, and at some other places asses lay scattered on the field. Herons, crows, vultures, the pishachas of the class Bhattabarabhas, and jackals and other carnivorous animals began to dance wildly and clamor hideously at the sight of the dead bodies lying on the field. The Ambika Devi, then quitting the field, went to a distant place and blew her conch shell so furiously and terribly that Shumba heard that terrific noise while he was sitting in his own residence. At the next moment, he saw that the Danava forces had retreated, and they were coming back to the city crying. Some of them were besmeared with blood all over their bodies. Some had got their feet cut asunder, some their arms. Some were devoid of eyes. Some had got their backs broken. Some had their waists broken. Some had their necks broken, and some were being carried on bedsteads. Seeing them thus, Shumbha and Nishumba asked then, "Where is Dhumralochana? Why have you all retreated, and why have you not brought that lady? Where are the other forces? Who hath blown this horrible conch shell? Fools, inform me quickly and truly all these things." The soldiers reported, "O Raja, Dhumralochana has been slain by Kalika. She has destroyed all the soldiers and has done extraordinary deeds. O Raja, know the blowing of the conch shell that has caused terror in the hearts of the Danavas and has enhanced the joy of the Devas and is being resounded in the celestial space. Is that done by the Ambika Devi? O Lord, when the Devi broke the chariot of Dhumralochana by the multitude of her arrows and killed the horses and at last slew Dhumralochana himself, when all the forces were slain by her who appeared like a lion, and when the rest of the army retreated, the Devas, seeing all these, were very much gladdened and showered flowers from the celestial sky. O Raja, we have come to a perfect conclusion that we will not get the victory. Now consult with your expert ministers and do what is needful. O Raja, the supreme goddess of the universe is waiting there alone to fight with you without any help of any other forces. It is a great wonder to us. O Raja, intoxicated with her power, that girl, fearless, is reigning there, taking her stand on the lion. All this seems wonderful to us. O Raja, consult with your counselors, and out of the 4 policies, peace, fight, retreat, or remaining neutral, accept what is best. O tormentor of the foes, true, there are no forces with the Devi, but the whole host of the Devas will take up her cause in crisis, there is no doubt. In due time, Hari and Hara both will come and assist her. Now the guardians of the several quarters, the Lokapalas, are waiting by her side in the celestial space. O tormentor of the Devas, know that the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, and human beings all will come timely and help her. O the assistance of anyone, nor does she expect that anyone would do any work for her. You must know this certainly, that she alone can destroy this whole universe. What to speak of the Danavas only? O highly fortunate one, knowing all this, do as you like. It is the duty of servants to speak beneficial and true words with moderation. Vyasa said, O Raja, Shumbha, the tormentor of others, hearing their words, asked his younger brother in private, O brother, this Kalika has slain today Dhumralochana with his forces. The survivors retreated and came back to us. Now the Ambika Devi, puffed up with pride, is blowing her conch shell. Rather, the ways of time are unknowable even to the wise. The grass becomes a thunderbolt, and the thunderbolt becomes like a grass and powerless. Know thus the course of destiny. O fortunate one, now I ask you, what are we to do now? Are we to entertain yet the desire of enjoying Ambika? Or are we to fly away from here? Or are we to fight on? Say quickly. Though younger, in times of difficulty I consider you as my elder. Hearing thus the words of Shumbha, Nishumbha said, O sinless one, flight or taking refuge in a fort are not reasonable. To fight with this lady is the best course. I will take the best generals and soldiers with me, and I will slay that lady and quickly return. And if fate be strong and prove it otherwise, then after my death, think out again and again and do what is best. Hearing thus the words of his younger brother, Shumbha said, You had better wait. Let Chanda and Munda go to the battle, surrounded with forces. To kill a hare, it is not necessary to send an elephant. This is a very trifling matter. The 2 great warriors, Chanda and Munda, will be freely able to slay her. Thus saying to his younger brother, the Raja Shumbha addressed Chanda and Munda, who were waiting before him. O Chanda, O Munda, take your forces and go quickly to kill that shameless lady puffed up with pride. O pair of warriors, kill that tawny-eyed Kalika in the battle, and bring that Ambika Devi here quickly. Do this great service, and if that haughty Ambika be unwilling to come here, though taken as a captive, then kill that Durga, the ornament of the battle, with your sharp arrows. And here ends the 25th chapter of the 5th book on the killing of Dhumralochana in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. And I think we can pause there for today and continue with the ongoing battle next time.
Thank you so much, Deva. I found today's quite amusing in some ways. I don't know if it's as a female, but it was very interesting and amusing.
Yeah. How she took the approach of pretending to have come to marry them, but with the promise that she would marry only somebody who can beat her in the battle, knowing, of course, that she is invincible. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, David. Quick question.
Sure.
Was it? I'm assuming it was Kali herself that burnt Durmalochana to ashes.
Dhumralochana.
Was it Durga
The text made it.
from the
The
sideline?
The text made it sound like it was Ambika. It was slightly unclear. Since of course they are ultimately one, though the name Ambika could be used to refer to Kali, but the text did seem to make it sound like it was Ambika or Durga who burnt Dhumralochana to ashes with her shout. The demons reporting it back said that it was Kali. But I would be inclined to take Vyasa's word over theirs, since they may not have seen clearly what exactly happened. So text as written, I would take it that it was Ambika who burnt Dhumralochana to ashes with her shout when he was rushing at Kali.
But negotiably, either one though. Also, is what you were saying too.
You could make a case that it could have been Kali. The text wasn't totally clear on it.
Very interesting. And just for the when they're saying Kali Ka Devi, that's Kali.
Kalika is just sometimes it calls her Kalika, sometimes it calls her Kali. They're two names of the same goddess.
Do you know what's the particularity there? What do you know that what the Ka adds? What is that? The meaning of that offhand?
It's essentially it's basically the same meaning. It's a slight honorific. So in the Sanskrit original, all of this is in poetic verse. And so I suspect that one or the other is used just to fit the meter of the line in the original Sanskrit.
Oh, neat.
They mean basically the exact same thing. The Ka, it means essentially of. Kali meaning, so the literal meaning of the name of Kali is time, most literally, the goddess of time. And so it's essentially, literally, Kali means time, Kalika means of time. There's no important difference. One or the other would be used just to fit the meter of the poetry in the original Sanskrit.
Oh, and also just so the Devi, the Ambika, right? That's with Kali.
Yeah.
Now she was referred to as Parvati earlier on. Is
yes.
that so? Is this Durga riding is it a lion?
Yes, it is. Yes, and the text has called her Durga several times.
Parvati? Is there?
It is Parvati who sent. Parvati was not a description of Ambika. So when the Parvati description was used in her peaceful aspect before she set out for the field.
Oh.
But the lion riding warrior goddess, the text has been referring to her interchangeably as Ambika, Chandika, or Durga, all as synonyms.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah.
Jai Ma.
Thank you very much. Jai Ma.
Thank you, Jai Ma.